that's our thing is we're a developing family new to a sport, and we're going to go out and we're going to learn. Come with us and follow us on this journey.
Okay, welcome to the Motorsports and Driver Development Show. I'm Katie.
And I'm Keto.
And we are joined today by Chad and Kristi Berg of the CBKB Rally team. Welcome, you guys.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Thanks for joining us from your backyard barbecue. Looks like a good time. So you guys do all the things. You race, you co-drive, you crew. I want to know, how did you even get started?
Wow, boy, that's a long story. The first exposure, our kid was into European motorsports and was into rally stuff. And, so as a parent, you're going to support your little kid. And then I heard there was some rally race going to happen at Dirtfish Rally School. And we went up there, and that was the big rallycross race that went up there. And we went up, saw all the big name people, the big pro teams, GRC Rallycross. And I was like, man, this is pretty impressive. I'll never be able to do this. But there was a guy there selling rally RC cars. So we bought rally RC cars, and we started having fun with those, building stages, put on races at our house, got sponsors, the whole thing. And I mean, just kind of did it on a smaller scale, no pun intended. And that was kind of fun. And then somehow I heard about rallycross, our style of rallycross, and did some reading, did some research, and I thought, well, let's just jump in. And at that point, that was a couple years later. The batteries on the RC cars haven't been charged since.
Did you had other people come out and run these little races you were hosting?
Yeah, we had multi-stage races.
Yeah,
and
we had built courses out in the pasture, in the horse pasture, and we had timing, and we literally, I mean, it was full stage.
Yep.
It was
bridges, podiums, all
fun.
kinds of stuff.
I'm sorry, I would like to bring that back. I know you think real cars are cooler, but that sounds really fun.
Prizes wasn't one of the RC car companies gave us to give away as a prize.
Oh yeah, we had cars given away. It was good.
Yeah.
We had lots of good stuff to give away, and it was fun.
Oh, wow,
That is
that's
so
amazing.
cool. So, Kristi, when did you make the plunge into co-driving?
So that's kind of a funny story too. So the boys, Holden and Chad, started going to the car stuff before me. I've really never been into that kind of motorsport. So they were doing it, kind of dad-son thing, and they went to Olympus, correct, first without me? No, OTR. OTR. And they were like, came home and they were like, they camped, and they're like, you have to go. You would love this. This is so much fun. And I was like, okay. So Olympus came, and they took me out, and I mean, we walked out to one of the spectator stages, and watching them come through, whipping through the woods, and my mountain biking background, I'm like, I'm out in the woods. There's like then these cars, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Like, what is this? How do we get into this? And yeah, I really just said, I want to do this, and so I went into obviously the co-driver side of things. I've only raced a car once. I drove his for an autocross.
Uh-huh.
But I'm not really in the driver side of things. But I was like, how can I get involved? And that's where people are like, you should co-drive. You'd be really good at it. And I took Craig Drew. They bought me for my birthday Craig Drew's co-driving clinic class up at Dirtfish. I was a present, and I went and took that. And I just kind of started putting my name out there. And then with one, Kelson McKenzie asked me to go on my very first one for OTR. And fortunately, we rolled the car on the last stage on the first day, and we were out. And then took a little break. And then Keto, you guys gave me connection to Matt Brassfield and Truck Smart Racing. And now I've been with them for a couple of years. So we got a good team. So yeah, that's my story.
So has the only training that you've done was the one through Craig Drew? Yeah.
I met once with Krista Story, just kind of on her own thing, to go over after a couple, that was really awesome. I went through kind of rules with me, because that's the one thing that, you're kind of reading it, and it's a lot of stuff to take in. And so she spent a few hours with me. That was really nice. But yeah, really the bulk of it, my, basic learning came from Craig Drew's class.
Yeah. So what are, as a co-driver, what are sort of the top 3 things, if somebody was interested in getting into it, what are the top 3 things you would want to tell them, make sure they knew how to do before they got started?
Yeah, honestly, one of the best things that I did that we started together, Chad, again, kind of said, hey, let's go do this, was the Friday night TSVs. And most people, I don't even know if they know what those are, but they're just like local through town. You're going the speed limit. It's not about, the speed side of things, but they literally used to go up the start line. They give you your route book. You have to keep track. I learned more on the organizational side of things through those than so far almost anything I've done. And then, so I would say, it's just a great way to kind of get a taste for it, but without the pressure of having, kind of reading and going through and trying to understand, transits. And I mean, they have everything built in just like a regular rally. So I learned a lot through that. And I would probably say to take some kind of training class if you can find it. That was helpful just to kind of get there's a lot of things to know being a co-driver, and from everybody's told me is it takes 2-3 years before you really kind of feel like you're confident and that I won't say everything, but enough to be successful. And I would agree with that. You have to be pretty organized. So just, I think the classes alone, that is a real confidence builder to help you kind of get some of those questions answered. And just even a time card, like how to do a time card. I mean, that's so overwhelming when you first start doing that. So classes help with that. And then don't be afraid to just do it. Like, it's really that much fun. And, I mean, you're learning as you go. And I lucked out that obviously with Matt, he was new. So we learn together. So we can make mistakes and we try not to, but if it happens, it's not, the pressure was a little different. So yeah, it's just kind of, don't be afraid to give it a go. Anybody can do it, really.
And Chad, now you crew.
When she's co-driving, you're out there working.
Yeah. Never thought I'd be working on cars. Race cars, but when we team up with the Truck Smart racing team, they're out of Auburn, California, a stage rally team with the Brassfields. Owner is John Brassfield, driver is Matt Brassfield. Now we get along great. We got a pretty good system. Me and John, I call him Uncle John. He's like an uncle, but we kind of run the service area and coordinate that. And we've got a pretty good system going. We run things pretty simple just due to our experience and knowledge as far as repair stuff and keeping the car maintained and that kind of stuff. We're limited, and we've been pretty lucky, to be honest. But I think with our limitations, we try to prepare that much more, preparing the car, preparing our own logistics, all these things to minimize something happening. But you know how rally goes. That's the way it goes anyways. But yeah, at the stage rallies, we set up the service area and help these guys do good.
So someone wanting to get into service, getting the crew stage rally, what advice would you give them to get into it?
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is go to the rallies as a spectator, and I hear people say volunteer and stuff, and it is, man. The volunteering thing is so important. But a lot of times volunteering, you are on different locations, of course, so it's great for viewing, and it is important. But when it comes time to do crew and service, you kind of need to be in the paddock as a spectator and see what's going on. Just I love the word logistics, but logistically what it looks like, planning what it looks like, how it's executed when the cars come in, kind of just these, rules of the road and trade secret safety things and things that guys are doing. And almost all the mechanics and everyone in there is super friendly. I mean, we started this asking questions, and then of course I would snap pictures, see what their setup is like. And I'm still doing that, but I would encourage people to go and view, get an idea, and you'd be amazed. You can make a friend pretty quick at a rally race. You just say, hey, is there the next race, could I give you guys a hand? And it might be checking tire pressures. That's it. It might just be washing the windows. And next thing you know, cutting metal and fabricating bolt, whatever. So, but usually people are pretty open to that. And of course, the social media, there's times where people are just looking for someone to help out that's on a shoestring budget. So
Definitely. So you guys are in Washington. They're down in California. What does your preparation look like? What are you talking about? What are you doing individually and together in advance of a race?
So I basically kind of start as soon as I get information for anything as far as races or info, I go right into that mode where I do all the, handle our lodging, travel, anything that most of the time the ones we've all been to we're all driving to. We did go to Colorado last year and flew to that, so we had some extra logistical things to set up, but I kind of handled behind the scenes on all of that, make sure that's all taken care of. Chad and John always have kind of a checklist go through. I know they chat a lot the days before, making sure, what are you bringing? What are they bringing? So that kind of making sure all that. And then we obviously meet up the day before, get their day, or, the day early so we can kind of check in. And then we go into practice, recce the next day. So yeah, there's a lot going on. I pretty much start the second anything is released as far as ARA, even just dates. I'm automatically on the computer trying to find hotel rooms just to make that for everybody, so they don't have to worry about that. They just show up and make that work. But yeah, it's an awesome team effort. I think everybody does their part. It flows really well. I just actually talked to Matt yesterday. He's doing some stuff for the dirt for iRace. I don't know what he's doing, but anyway, I was helping him get some information from prior Olympus, and yeah, so it's just a good, like I said, we're lucky. We have a really good team dynamic. I think we really all feel like family, and to the point of where we're all missing each other right now because it's been racing. But yeah, so there's, like I said, logistically, it's just a lot of little things, but
yeah,
how we run it.
Yeah. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about driving. Chad, you went from RC cars to racing. Did you just show up, or what kind of learning did you do in advance?
In advance, I watched a lot of videos. I mean, to be honest, I watched videos, and getting into rallycross, it's fun watching stage rally videos, but I really needed to watch rallycross videos, right? Yeah. And let's be honest, sometimes those views from inside the car is not the same, doesn't transfer to video well. Mm-hmm. So, the only thing I could do was figure out the rule book. I did that kind of preparing for my first race, mm-hmm. and just kind of thought about weather. What kind of weather are we going to encounter? And we didn't have much for parts. I had a jack and a lug wrench, not an impact wrench, a jack and a lug wrench, and a tarp. But I made sure, hey, we got raincoats, we got sunglasses, we got boots, we've got, regular shoes, just kind of what do we have that we can go in and prepare for? Mm-hmm. And then just to kind of have an open mind. I kind of didn't know what to expect. And of course, our scene racing here in the Northwest is not like the stuff on the videos in the Midwest. And so it was awesome. It made it even that much more cool, our courses, and it was eye-opening, but Yeah, we come from cycling. Like, we race bicycles for 20-something years, so we have a ginormous toolbox of bike stuff. We didn't really grow up with cars, so I mean, we have some tools, but it was not like we really were like, all right, we're just going to throw into this, and we're just over the years been acquiring all of our tools and everything kind of as needed, right? So.
So now that you have a few races under your belt, a few years, a few seasons,
a few championships, even.
Maybe.
Yeah.
What would you tell beginner Chad if you could, maybe before the race? What would you tell him?
I would say, you did marry a rally girl, right? Don't ask him. So that's one thing that does work for us, is we're both into it. Yeah. And whether it's the time commitment, or a couple extra bucks you need to spend, or sometimes just want to spend, mm-hmm. It makes that easy. What would I tell myself? I would say the biggest thing, kind of go back to what I was talking about, is the preparation. And I think it's underrated. We talk about walking the course and, make sure there's fuel in your car, all these different things, right? Your seatbelts work. Anybody that knows me knows that I really like to prepare, and I bring a lot of stuff, and I don't get caught. I don't get caught out usually in terms of I might not be the best driver that day, or something might break on the car, but it's not because I wasn't prepared. And, you know, that includes where our paddock is going to be, how it's set up, everything I can do within my experience and budget for the car. And that's all done. That starts a few days before the event. And I use checklists. I like checklists. I need them. I'm not that smart and I have a horrible memory. So I use checklists. And just when I think I don't need that checklist anymore, I still check it.
Yeah.
And I check. And so I have a checklist for the trailer. I have a checklist for the car. I have a checklist for our stuff. And I stick to that. I think that's really important. I've seen on social media some people share those. If I could give anybody that advice is make a checklist. And maybe at first time, all it is a jack and a lug wrench. But at some point, you're going to be able to get everything you need down to that race, and you're going to need a list to remind you.
All right, give you something to build on. You know, next time you can add a few things to your jack and your lug wrench and your rain jacket.
But you know what? You guys showing up with spare shoes is more than a lot of new people know. I swear I can make it as big and bold in an email as I want. There are still going to be folks showing up on a rainy day in canvas shoes. So
right, in a t-shirt.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
Last year was one of the races, and it was nice when we left Arlington. So I had flip-flops on.
Oh no!
I got down to Centralia, and I realized I had my racing shoes, but I didn't have anything else, you know, to do the workstation. And so guess what? I went to the outlet store, Vans, and bought those canvas shoes.
Oh, that's right.
It was pouring down rain. I was in canvas shoes, but it was better than flip-flops. So yeah, I'm still that guy.
There's a big difference between forgetting and just thinking like, oh, I only need my Vans.
It is amazing how many people come unprepared. You know, just that seems like a recipe for just a miserable time. So it surprises me. And in the Northwest, the weather can change so quickly. It just seems crazy not to have a few extra clothes. I mean, it's not like you're carrying it on your back. You're driving to the event. So just go extra coat in there, please. So,
let's talk about your post-race checklist. Yes. I know you have, I actually don't know you have one. I'm making an assumption, but what's on the post-race checklist?
Before you answer that, do you wash and detail your car after every race?
This sounds like a setup question.
Yes, he does. He even washes his fire extinguishers, and we know that.
You've seen that?
I have seen the fire extinguishers getting polished.
Yes.
Yes, I have.
Guilty as charged. Yeah, you know, I clean the car up to the best of how it can look nowadays, and before the race, and that kind of goes back to, of course, I'm cleaning it after, right? I mean, it's getting pressure washed underneath and things taken apart just so it just doesn't rot. But I do believe in doing that before a race for a couple reasons. We always had to do it with our bikes, and both with sponsors and professional image, and you know, we're not getting paid to do rally by any means, but it does send a message. And, you know, if a camera flash goes off and that picture looks just right, sponsors like that stuff. And I know we're going to get into sponsorship stuff in a little bit, but I'm trying to put somebody's name out there, and they want a label on that tin can. You know what I mean? They want a label, and they want to be able to recognize that tin can from other tin cans. I also think a clean car is a happy car. A lot of times when we're cleaning and doing things like that, we find problems.
Yeah.
You know, I don't recognize every little rattle or creak or moan in a car just because I'm still kind of new to the sport. But I have noticed a crack. I have noticed missing bolts. And that's all while cleaning the car, sometimes before and sometimes after.
And it is still a daily driver. Like, as much as it's a race car, it is his daily driver too. So, I mean, it is
shouldn't be. It's just too fun to drive.
But it is one of those things where if he doesn't, I mean, if the whole afterwards taking it all apart, obviously putting different wheels, tires on, all that, but just really, it's just keeping it so it can be driven, you know, as his normal vehicle.
I mean, I personally think a serious driver is going to wash their car between events, if for no other reason, just to get that 12 pounds of dirt out of there. I mean, it makes your car 12 pounds lighter. I mean, there's people who pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to remove 12 pounds. I mean, think about a carbon hood, 12 pounds, and go pay $1,000 for it. I mean, you know, wash your car.
12 pounds easily, right?
Well,
Easily it's 12 pounds.
Funny story about the very first race. When we were coming home, we didn't have a trailer. We were driving the car down there. We brought my truck as well, so we had in a worst case. But Holden and I are in my truck, and Chad's kind of following behind us. And we're heading back out of Tootle on the back roads, and I'm kind of like, God, where's Chad? What's going on? And I realized he's like, oh, we got to stop at the gas station up there. You know, the car's just like really running rough. And I was like, oh no, you know, what's going on? So we get up the gas station. Well, it's the amount of dirt and mud that was in the wheels was making the car off balance. And so every time you would get them over like 50 miles an hour, so it was like we literally had to jack it up, take the wheels off, wash, you know, clean them off at the gas station there on whatever that exit is. And yeah, the car's up on jacks. Everybody's coming over. Are you guys okay? And we're like, no, we're good. We just learning experience.
You know exactly what we're doing, sir. Just step back.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. So that was all dirt in the wheels. So
oh my gosh. I love it. So you brought up sponsors, and that is something we definitely want to talk to you about. We know that every driver wants to be a sponsored driver. We all want to either make millions of dollars or at least not have to pay millions of dollars to race. You guys have really grown your sponsors over the years, and so I want to hear about both sides of it. How have you gotten them, and how have you kept them?
Yeah, you know, thanks for asking that question. I think one thing, there's lots of stuff out there on how to get sponsors, and it always seems really easy, which we know it's not. There's not enough information out there on how to keep them. And so kind of going back to getting sponsors, fortunately coming into rally and motorsports, even though that was totally new to us, getting sponsors was not. As Kristi mentioned, we've raced at an elite level in cycling since we were, 25 years now. And I've ran probably 4 different elite regional cycling teams. Mm-hmm. And with that came the responsibility of getting sponsorships so I could get people bikes and their stuff paid for, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of learned on my own, and with some other good mentors and team directors. And the cool thing is it all translated right over to motorsports. Yeah. And I'd always heard that, hey, motorsports, man, they just give stuff away. It's way easier than cycling. I can now say that's not true.
Nope.
It's still challenging. It's no different. Yeah. And then, of course, you got to consider your sport, right? I mean, rally is still, especially in this country, a fringe when it comes to sponsorships versus, NASCAR and things like that. So, I would encourage people to build a brand, whether it's just your name you're going by. And I think some people are concerned that it makes them feel conceited but you need to build a brand and some type of image or something of what you're about. Our program is, we're a couple, but we're a family team. Holden will come out and service for us. He does autocross in his car. And to be honest, he's the one that got us into this sport. So that's our thing is we're a developing family new to a sport, and we're going to go out and we're going to learn. Come with us and follow us on this journey from co-driving and stage rally to doing rallycross and those types of things. So, we started off small, and to be honest, we named the team. We started a Facebook page, and in about 2 hours, I had someone contact me and says, "Hey, man, we'd like to sponsor you guys." And
that's not normal.
No, not normal.
Not normal. And that was Randy. That was Mountain USA, California. And he was like, "Hey, do you have this? Are you doing this?" No. And we talked a bit, we exchanged information. I sent him a proposal. It wasn't like he was just contacting me, giving stuff away. Right. And so they started helping us out, and that was the first thing. So, awesome. that was kind of a good start. And it was some things that our car needed, to be competitive. But, the thing that I try to do, I'll put together a proposal. I do it on PowerPoint, and I'm not a big savvy computer guy, but I do like pictures and I like bright colors, so I can make it look kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'd encourage people, again, build your brand, and you got to give somebody something that they can see. Mm-hmm. Gone is the day where you park in the parking lot of that potential sponsor and you walk inside and you have a conference room you get to present something to, right? It's all being done through email and maybe a phone call. So you have to be able to sell yourself in that form. But even more important than being able to sell yourself is, and I've heard you talk about this lots, and it's the ROI, return on investment. And people do not take that seriously enough. If you want to get something, whether that's support, whether that's parts, whether that's finances, it's a handshake, it's a partnership. They expect something in return. And to be honest, they expect something equal or bigger in return. And I think that's what people underestimate. People have asked me before, why don't you go get some more sponsors? You're really good at it. Every little sponsor we get, even if it's just a discount on parts, is a part-time job I just picked up. Right? After every race, at a minimum, not to mention, hey, every couple weeks, I like to post something about our sponsors, those who support us, but you're taking on a responsibility, and you want them at the end of the season to know exactly who you are, and they recognize your car. They know what motorsport you compete in, and they can go, you got a pretty good deal out of that. You got a pretty good deal. Because it's really easy to get a free air filter and walk away and never say anything again, with a sticker on your sponsor. Yeah. So I think people need to look at every time you pick up even just the simplest basic sponsor is look at his responsibilities. You're taking on a part-time job. Stay in touch with them. I mean, I like to use the term partnership instead of sponsorship. It always starts off as a sponsorship. My intention is to turn it into a partnership. And the people that are helping us out, it's all first name stuff, and it's really fun. It's really fun. They're partnerships.
That's so great. And to your point earlier about preparation, you took this step of getting out there, you put together a nice car. I'm sure you snapped some pictures, wrote a good bio on your Facebook page, you put it up, and somebody reached out to you right away. It may not happen within 2 hours for most people, but if you've done some legwork and you've been a little bit prepared, it will happen. And then you're ready when that person reaches out.
I would definitely say proposals that are put out to sponsors that include an ROI are definitely going to get a look. Whereas if you're just like, hey, just have this conversation, there's no such thing as free money. As much as people like to say it, it just doesn't exist. And so if you say, hey, I want a free part, you're basically asking for free money. It doesn't exist.
But you gotta, in your proposal, you have to, what are they going to get out of it?
Right.
Especially something, in some of these more fringe motorsports that maybe don't draw tons of spectators. That's even can be more difficult. So now your promotion is maybe not even race day. Right? Your promotion is the off days, or maybe driving to the races. And that's really important. But absolutely, on those proposals, you have to put what you intend to do for them. How's it going to be worth their while? And like I said, aim high, try to exceed, try to give them the better deal than you're getting, because that deal next year, it can change. It can get better, right? Every year you kind of renegotiate. So, and don't bite off more than you can chew.
That's so true.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with Rally is, it's growing at such a high pace, and it gives a sponsor, it gives you an opportunity to pitch to the sponsor that they get to come in at the ground level and, be here from the beginning as it grows, but also their exposure as it grows will also grow. And so it's a good value to get in now. It's just like we refinance your house when it's low interest, right? You get in while it's good, right? So it's the same thing with a sponsor. It's an opportunity for them to get in early because, once it does get to NASCAR, then the sponsor is very, difficult because it's expensive, but, it's early, it's opportunity for them to get exposure, just very grassroots, very loyal, potential customers.
Yep. And that going back to, again, keeping them in the loop, keep them engaged in your sport. Keep them engaged. You're not their only sponsor more than likely, right? They've got guys doing drifting. They got guys doing car stuff, whatever, car shows, keep them engaged.
Right.
Yeah. Great advice.
Yeah.
So you said you were a family team, which I think is amazing, but we've left out really one very important family member. You mentioned Holden. We haven't talked about Sherman Berg.
Oh, Sherman. Sherman's famous. He's like everywhere. He's made the ARA website. I'm like, well, I guess our dog's more famous than we are. So
Right, he did. I forgot about that.
Yeah, Sherman Berg. He is part of the team.
He's coming. He's on.
Good.
I'll get him.
He's been on quarantine. He's been loving it. So.
Sherman, up. Come on.
I said he comes when called. We should try that with our dogs.
Appearance.
Hi, Sherman Berg.
Oh, there's Sherman.
Give him away. Bye.
I'm the best crew member you could ever ask for.
Yes, he's the best.
So with it being a family team, you mentioned you guys might be a couple. I'm curious, what are some of the fun dynamics that show themselves when you're trying to do something like this with your spouse?
We're pretty lucky, I will say. I mean, we have a lot of friends who used to, in cycling world, used to joke and say, if you want to get a divorce, ride a tandem bike with your other, basically. It's kind of one of those, like, if you're trying to, run. But Chad and I, for whatever reason, I think in all of our years, I mean, by no means are we perfect. We have our ups and downs. But on race day, we tend to kind of, I think only once ever you've told me I said something and you were like, just don't do that or something. Like, don't say it. And I was like, I'm so sorry. But I mean, I guess we read each other. We've been together for, 26 years now. So we read each other pretty well and know each other that way really well. We're both super competitive and both kind of bullheaded. So that is, I guess maybe we could maybe get like that, but it's not bad. I mean, we're lucky. I don't know what it is.
I think too is I don't want to say it sounds like we're operating a business out of our marriage, but I mean, I think we're really good at staying in our own lane
Sure.
on what we're good at, I mean, planning and that discipline and herding cats, cracking the whip, making those phone calls, that logistic planning, hotels, flights, that kind of stuff. Kristi's awesome at that stuff. I hate doing it. And she likes doing it, playing that mother hen.
Yeah.
I don't get in her way. I just might ask, hey, where are we staying on Friday night? At the same time, the car preps up. Again, she's supportive. She's out. She's helping, hanging out. But she kind of follows my suggestion on that. And so we both, even just a weekend of rallycross, we have things that we systematically do. Everything from loading to unloading to once we're both in the car. And same as at the stage rallies. And we like doing our own jobs. We'll meet in the front seat. We'll have that fun time. But
I think like in the car, because obviously in rallycross, you don't have to have a co-driver. But Chad, we've always worked well together, and he says, I mean, for the most part, I help you, I think. Oh, yeah. He's better on there than not there. The extra eyes or whatever for him, you don't need to call out notes quite as much, obviously, in rallycross, but I help him kind of keep the line, keep the next cone,
coaching.
The next turn. Just coaching. But that part we're really good at. Like I said, for some reason, like I said, I know some people that maybe could not do that. Like, I don't know that they could be in the car doing that together and maybe have it end the same way. So it's important that if you do that, you got someone in there that, that you can, be that way with. But we're just lucky, I think. I mean, we get along good enough. So, but yes, there are many times. Now somebody out there has probably seen us at some point having a little, a tiff for an argument somewhere along the trailer. That happens. So yeah. More in bike racing than it does in car racing, I think. But
so let me change gears a little bit here. What is the plan for the future?
Yeah, what's next?
For both of you.
We're going to stay married.
Great, awesome.
It's good to hear. I'm talking about the motorsports end.
Oh, you're going to stay married.
Just stay married. Okay.
Boy, you know what? Were you talking like this season's goals or a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan?
Whatever you're thinking about.
Let's hear the 5-year.
Okay.
The 5-year plan. Really enjoying rallycross. Really enjoying, Kristi doing the stage rally, and that's been a big benefit. Thanks to Truck Smart Racing and even guys like Chris Kobayashi that have given us the opportunity to kind of get into sprint rallies and stage rallies. We're able to kind of learn through somebody else, and a lot of it on their budget. So that's been really good. And again, it tells, what kind of tools do we need, what kind of knowledge we need, what kind of help do we need. And that's been really awesome. Of course, the ultimate goal that our plan is for us to have our own stage car, whether it's rallycross and stage. I see a lot of guys leave rallycross and go to stage. I think I'd rather do both. But that's what we're looking at, the goal. Of course, as parents and our kid in college,
that's right.
Right now we're going to be real responsible, and once he graduates college, we're going to be real stupid and just blow all our money. So, but that's where we're going. Again, Kristi continues to develop in the co-driver seat, having tons of success. I'm learning how cars work and how they move off-road in rallycross, and at these stage rallies, working for Truck Smart Racing. I kind of like the trajectory of where we're going. I think it's responsible for us. It's what works for us. And I think we'll be better prepared when we go there. And we're not rushed.
No.
So I want to toot your horn a little bit. So why don't you tell me exactly what that means, your success? Last year, you guys placed where?
In what?
In stage rally.
Oh.
ARA.
Stage rally?
Yeah.
So in limited four-wheel drive, we took first place, driver and co-driver. Western, not national. And I think I should know this, but out of every overall regional, I'm not going to quote it, I can't remember, but we were up there in the top positions for overall as well, at all categories. But we took our class. So
nice. And Chad?
Last year was a good year. Ended up going into the modified front-wheel drive class, and because that's where all the competition was, and I knew guys would make me faster, and they did. We were able to come out on top. So I did not expect that at the beginning of the season, especially racing against those guys, but it all worked out. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's a lot of competition in that line front. Yeah, it's great.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you for your time, all your wisdom, and sharing everything that you've learned along the last few years. Where can people find you online?
Right now, we predominantly use our Facebook page, and that's CBKB Rally Team on Facebook.
Awesome. All right.
Message us there, comment on stuff, whatever. We just ask people to be nice.
Of course. We can't help but be nice to you guys. And you have Sherman Berg right up front and center. Nobody's going to be
there. People know Sherman more than they know us. And
I know.
Along with our Facebook page, again, if somebody comes out to a race, either as a new driver or just coming to check it out, come up to our paddock area, man. We'd love to talk to people, show them what we've got going on, where we're going, what we learned. We're really good at making fun of ourselves on mistakes we've made in the past. And people can come up to us anytime.
That's good advice.
Excellent.
Love it.
Before you guys go, shout out to you guys for thank you for putting on the races. It's so much appreciated. We couldn't do it without you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Guys, as always.